Welcome back. My name is Sebi Giannoni. I will be your instructor for lesson 11. And today's material, we'll be talking about purchasing a used or new car, what to consider when buying a car, and then we'll also talk about insurance, what some of the things that you need to know when looking at purchasing insurance. Some of you in here probably have heard your parents complain about how expensive insurance is going to be. So it'll be nice for us to just talk a little bit about some of the terms and lingo about insurance, what it costs, what a policy means, what a premium means, what comprehensive means, and so forth. You'll have a better understanding about the insurance part of this. All right, so here are some of the objectives that you're going to encounter. Explain the factors to consider when purchasing a vehicle. Define financial responsibility. We talked about this in earlier chapters, and all that means is, can you afford to pay for any damages you might have caused on the highway? And most people usually buy automobile insurance, right? That's the way we usually do, even though some states don't require it, but most do. So it's really important that we touch base on it. Identify and explain the types of automobile insurance. We're going to list how to buy insurance, and we will explain the need to evaluate insurance rates when you buy a new vehicle. All right, so we'll kind of go through this here and hopefully be able to touch base. We need to wake up the screen. So we'll pop over here. So when purchasing a vehicle and buying a car, it's a pretty significant commitment, right, in terms of the expense and operating. So most of us are going to make some pretty large purchases in our lives, and the car is one of them. So it's definitely important that you understand a little bit about what's entailed when buying a car. It's not the initial purchase price. There's a lot more to consider when buying a car, right? So when preparing to purchase a vehicle, consider three main factors. And I hope you go in this order. Sometimes kids look at the style and color and so forth, and I get it. You want something that reflects who you are, and most of us purchase that way emotionally, really. But you should really be thinking safety, reliability, and then affordability. These are critical areas that we're going to talk about. Safety, again, it's critical to choosing a vehicle. You want a car that you can feel comfortable in and will minimize injury, and also prevent or help you prevent crashes. So remember, we talked about wearing a seatbelt is an active role you take, but sometimes buying a car that has a lot of passive safety features or assisted features can actually help prevent you from getting into a crash, depending on the situation. So you may be thinking sporty, but you should think twice about buying a car that could tempt you to speed or drive recklessly. Again, some cars don't have a high safety rating, so you really want to do your homework. And then maybe a car does have a good safety rating, but the maintenance on that car was a lot more than you bargained for, or the insurance on that car was a lot more than what you bargained for. So once you find that car, do your back-end homework before you start to negotiate and make the purchase. Also, a mid-sized sedan is a better choice than a van or sports utility vehicle because they're top-heavy and they tend to have a higher rollover rating. So when you buy an SUV, make sure that that SUV rates well in the rollover rating. Just like any car, you can look up their safety rating. So if a car has a 5-star rating, that is the best you can get for that particular make and model. So if a car has a 3-star rating, maybe you might want to consider something a little bit better. All right, so here are some of the safety features that most cars are equipped with today. You have ABS brakes. Cars that are equipped with ABS brakes are pretty cool. You don't really have to do what's called pumping the brake or threshold braking. The car automatically detects that the tires aren't turning and it will do it for you. Running daylights, most cars have them. Right? Stability control, if you're into a turn and you're going a little too quick, the electronic stability control or traction control will kick in, and it will balance your tires. Again, that's a feature that maybe you weren't aware of. You might have went a little too fast, and the car was able to rescue you somewhat. Right? You can't defy the laws of physics, don't forget. Okay. And then, I can add to this list here and keep going down and down because there's so many new cars with backup cameras now and a lot of passive assist features that we didn't have even just 10 years ago. Okay, so the more safety features, I believe, the better insurance rate you're going to end up receiving. And we'll talk about the insurance in a little bit different scenario. Okay. Vehicle reliability, peace of mind. Right? We definitely want some peace of mind here. Is an important factor for new drivers. Selecting and maintaining a reliable vehicle can prevent most breakdowns when you're stopping. Okay, so it's important that you find a car that you feel comfortable with. If I sit here and say, hey, what car do you think is reliable? Today, they're all pretty much reliable. But still, what comes to mind when you think of reliability? You're thinking of some of the cars that might have made a name for themselves over the year, and I think Toyota is one, Honda, Subaru, Nissan. Again, these are names that I'm kind of throwing out there. Doesn't mean that other manufacturers are not as good. We've come a long way. Most cars are somewhat reliable today, and you might have your preference. But definitely do your homework. Get a car that, A, has some type of a warranty with it, especially if it's a used car. And what does warranty mean? Well, warranty is it's an insurance package on your car, meaning that if anything breaks down from a certain amount of time or years or mileage, the manufacturer will fix it for you free of charge. That's a good peace of mind. Right? You buy a car that has a warranty from the manufacturer. Most new cars come with a 3-year or 36,000 mile warranty. Avoid cars with excessive miles. So maybe you get a car that has excessive miles and you want to, let's see if I can move this. For some reason the mouse falls asleep on me here and I can't scroll up. Back in the day when I was buying cars, and we used to always try to get cars that had a lower miles. We didn't want a car that had too many miles because of the problems that are associated with excessive miles. But today, it's not uncommon for people to probably buy cars with 100,000 miles plus. For some reason, these cars are lasting a lot longer. But the only thing you want to consider is when you're buying a car with excessive miles, it will depreciate over time. So don't get fooled because a car is really, really inexpensive, and that's because maybe it has a lot of miles already and it's depreciated a lot. And what does that mean? When a car depreciates, it loses its value over time. The opposite of depreciate would be appreciate, and usually we refer that to a purchase of a home. Over time, it increases in value. But a car has a different way of losing value over time. And most cars can probably get about 200,000+ miles before it's time to send them to the junkyard. Check history, review all of the maintenance, repairs. So again, I'm just trying to get control of the screen here. Check the history of the car. Carfax is one way of doing this. You can look at the report. Maybe a car was exchanged, had multiple owners. It doesn't mean the car is bad. It just means maybe the people that bought that car ended up not liking it. So that can give you some information about the vehicle that you might be buying. A lot of times the dealer should have information about that car in its records. So if you're buying, say, a Nissan and the person that you're buying it from because I don't have any papers on it, but I did take it to so-and-so dealership in town. They'll have a whole history. You can probably call them, and they'll be probably nice enough to give you the history of the maintenance on that car. But there's so many different ways for you to get information nowadays. It's pretty easy. So definitely get the Carfax report and some history on that car. And then I can't stress this enough. Get somebody to come down with you, someone that knows what they're doing. And if you can literally bring it to a mechanic of your choosing, have them do a pre-inspection of the car. So make sure you look at the vehicle, get the information you need, do your homework before, and then obviously test drive the car. Make sure you're comfortable with it. Then at that point you can start negotiating, but don't do any negotiating until you inspect the car thoroughly, you did your homework, and put together things that maybe your mechanic said, hey, it needs new tires, it needs new brakes, it definitely requires some body work, or whatever the case may be. You might want to point that out to the person that you're buying it. You don't want to insult them in any way, but definitely point it out and tell them, hey, listen, I got to fix these things here. The value of the car in most of the books that I'm looking at or online resources are saying it's worth this much, and then you can negotiate after you do your homework. Don't jump the gun. I know sometimes we impulse buy. But reliability is important. Make sure you buy a car that you can definitely feel comfortable with. Here it says think twice about older cars. Again, maybe you're looking at that 1965 convertible Mustang that you've been dreaming about or you've seen in a movie and you want to make that purchase. That's great. Maybe you're buying it for that appreciation value. Maybe there's an intrinsic value now. The car depreciated. There's no more of those cars around. They're very scarce, and you want to buy this car as a investment and as a weekend car. That's great. Let's look at the affordability here of the vehicle. So the total cost of owning and operating a vehicle can be costly, but there are ways to minimize both the initial cost of buying a vehicle and ongoing operating. So be smart when buying a car. You need to do your homework. Again, if you buy a car through a dealer, it's probably going to cost you a little bit more, but buying it through a dealer is going to save you some other headaches. They'll register the car for you. They'll give you a dealer warranty. By law, I think they got to give you 60 days. But a lot of times, a dealer will sell a car that has an extended manufacturer warranty. So if you look down at consider a certified used car. So many manufacturers have certification programs that offer low-mile vehicles that were leased. So a car that came back on lease is still good, low miles. Maybe you don't want to buy a new car right off the bat, and you can save some money by buying a used car. Perfect example would be buying a leased vehicle. Not only does it have low miles, not only did it depreciate, so the value is a lot lower than a new car, you'll also typically get an extended warranty from the manufacturer. So what does it say here? Certified vehicles typically feature an extension of the factory warranty, offering increased peace of mind. You can't beat it. So what the dealer is going to do from the manufacturer, they're going to say, hey, look, if you buy this lease car, that 3-year warranty, we're going to extend it to a 5-year warranty. So that is great. And a lot of people love to kind of buy these type of cars because the initial cost is far lower than buying it new. Okay. Then on the flip side, there's people that want to buy new all the time. They want to lease a new car all the time, or they always want to buy their own new car. And it all is a matter of preference. I don't like to spend too much money. All right. So further down here, operating costs. Beyond the initial purchase price, you're going to expect some ongoing expenses to operate your vehicle, such as insurance, repairs, fuel. These are all things that you're going to have to throw in. Remember, I told you earlier, when you buy that car, make sure you understand what the operating costs are going to entail, because you might be looking at a car that can be extremely expensive to maintain and to insure. So do your homework ahead of time. Again, right now we have fuel costs. Gas is not that expensive at the moment, but there was a time when gas was almost $4 or $5 a gallon, and people were gravitating towards electric cars. So there's other alternative powered vehicles out there, and the one that comes to mind, and I think it grabs a lot of people's attention, is the Tesla, which is an all-electric vehicle. Pretty cool stuff. Diesel is not popular here. It is in Europe still. Obviously, cars that run on diesel can get you more miles, and they're a lot better than they were in my generation. But here in the United States, we don't really use diesel that often, unless it's for larger vehicles and trucks and construction vehicles. Ethanol is a form of alcohol, sometimes mixed with gas to reduce the amount of petroleum. So it is used as a burning agent. You'll find about most gas stations have some ethanol mixed in with the gas that we use. Electric. Some vehicles are powered entirely by electric. They're becoming more popular. If this was 10 years ago, maybe 2 or 3% of the driving cars out there were electric. Today, I think it's up to 15, maybe 18%. So there is a interest in electric cars. I know most kids, when I ask them, they're pretty excited about maybe someday owning an electric car in the future. And then we have hybrids on the vehicle. Again, hybrid vehicles features 2 forms of propulsion, sometimes gas or electric, depending on the hybrid. All right, so let's move along here. All right, let's get to the insurance part of this here. And when I talk about insurance, a lot of times people say, well, why is it so expensive? And a lot of this has to do with math experts. And these are people that we call actuaries. They put statistical numbers together. And remember the law of probability? That's their job. They look at large numbers, and they come up with certain information that is useful for a lot of different people. Okay, and the insurance people use those data, and they put together an insurance policy. An underwriter will put it together, right? They're going to put something that will allow some money to be made for them, and at the same time, if you do need them, they're there to help you in paying out. So every year we have about 12 million crashes in this country, 12 million, and the likelihood of a person getting into a crash, even an experienced driver like myself, is 1 in every 6 years. I might find myself in some related mishap. For young drivers and beginners, it's much greater. So insurance for young kids or inexperienced drivers is an imperative. It's a must. Okay. Again, how do they come up with the price for insurance? Well, they look at a few things. They look at here the age, the gender. Yes, we'll talk about that in a little bit. The car type, your driving record, where you live, your credit score, believe it or not. So they look at who you are as a person when they come up with a premium. A premium is just another fancy name for the cost of the insurance. All right, so let's look here. It says the most common type of automobile insurance. So auto insurance is somewhat complicated in the beginning, but it's good for you to start thinking about how you insure your car and how do you pick out a policy that best fits you. And a policy, again, every time I say these words, I'm assuming you understand this, but a policy is the agreement between you and the insurance company. You come up with a policy, and then the premium, what they charge you. Right? So see how that works? So different policies and terms and conditions influence the cost. Below are a list of the most common types of insurance. Note that insurance laws vary from state to state. So it's important you understand that. Let me get the screen to work here again. There we go. So the reason why we buy insurance is primarily for liability. The purpose of liability insurance is to protect you from claims made by others, so someone sues you, which is important, or if you can be declared at fault. So if you're the one that is liable for that crash, the insurance company will protect you. Liability insurance, the most important motor vehicle insurance protection you can have. If you can't pay for damages you cause, the court could mandate the sale of your real estate and personal property. Also, your license can be suspended until judgment is satisfied. Your liability insurance policy protects you and anyone else who has permission to drive your car. Right? So your parents at some point will add you to the insurance policy. And the two different types of liability insurance that it's important is bodily injury, for injury or death to others up to the amount of the coverage provided by the policy, and then the property damage, for property that belongs to others up to the amount of the coverage provided by the policy. So these are the two most important liability insurance that you're going to purchase. And I think the state minimum for both of these is $50,000. That's the state minimum. Are you going to purchase? I think you can go a little bit higher. Most people like to go $300,000 for each type here, and you can go up to as much as you want, depending on how much assets you have. Most parents that have maybe a business or very wealthy might, in addition to buying this insurance, might buy what's called an umbrella policy to cover any shortfalls in between their insurance. Medical payment, again, is a coverage that you can purchase. Most people will waive this aspect because they already have it at home with their mom or dad where they work, so you guys are covered under their policy, so you might decide to waive the medical payment. But if you needed one and you're in a crash, it will cover expenses in the hospital. All right. Collision insurance, right? This is extremely important. Collision insurance covers damages to your vehicle caused by a collision. This part of your policy covers repairs to your vehicle regardless of who's at fault. For example, collision insurance covers damages to your vehicle if you run off the road. Your collision coverage also pays for repairs if your unattended vehicle is damaged by another vehicle and the owner of the other vehicle does not assume responsibility. If you have a new car or an expensive car and the book value on that car is high, or you still owe money, you have to have collision. Because if that car is a total loss and you didn't have collision, you're not going to get paid. Right? So you're going to be in a bad situation. So your car gets hit or you crash into a tree, you total the car, your fault, and you didn't purchase collision. That means you're not going to get it repaired or you're not going to get the value of that vehicle. Now, if your car is not expensive and it's under, say, $4,000 or $5,000, maybe collision coverage isn't needed because the repairs will definitely offset the value of the vehicle. So, if the car is worth $5,000 and the repair is $6,000, I'm assuming you're not going to want to spend the money to repair it. So definitely collision insurance is important. Over here we have comprehensive. And this part of the insurance covers you damages that other than a crash. So such as fire, theft, explosion, earthquake, windstorms, hail, floods, vandalism, and zombies, right? I'm just kidding. So you see here, there is a tree here. This person parked the car at the wrong place at the wrong time. No one's fault. This is an act of Mother Nature here being cruel to this car. Insurance will cover that immediately. So definitely need comprehensive insurance. It covers you in things other than getting into a crash. Uninsured motorist. All right, let's look at these two really quick. Uninsured motorist coverage protects you and your passenger from bodily injury and losses caused by someone that hit you and wasn't able to legally pay for damages. Right? So if you get hurt and somebody doesn't have enough coverage, your uninsured motorist will kick in and insure you and the person in the vehicle that got hurt. Right? So this is important to have, and I know Connecticut, it is required by law to have uninsured motorists in Connecticut. No-fault insurance. With conventional insurance, the driver found that no fault must collect either from the at-fault driver or of the driver's insurance company. The process can take months and months to resolve. With no-fault insurance, the injured party can collect from his or her own insurance company without litigation. Right? This is a very expensive service to have. And why do people do this? The advantage of it is the no-fault insurance is that the injured party gets immediate relief, financial relief, without the costly legal litigation. Right? So this allows a person to collect and move on with their life. Most people waive this no-fault insurance. It's, like I said, somewhat expensive and might not be required for more experienced drivers. All right, let's get this moving here. Let's talk about deductible here. What does this mean? Because a full collision coverage is costly, most motorists carry a deductible. Why do we carry a deductible? So you can lower your premium. So what that means is if I increase my deductible to, say, $1,000, that will lower my premium. Right? So you increase your deductible. That means you're going to be responsible for the first $1,000 for whatever the insurance company pays. So because full collision coverage is costly, most motorists carry a deductible policy. So if you're involved in a crash, you pay the first part of the deductible for any collision cost, and your insurance company would pay the balance. So for example, if you got into a crash and the repair bill was $1,001 and your deductible is $1,000, the insurance company is going to give you $1 because that's what they're responsible for. So if you're a new driver, you want a lower deductible. I had a kid within the first year knock off his side mirror, his back bumper, dented his quarter panel within the first year. Very expensive little repairs. Right? They average anywhere from $400 to $800. So if he had a $1,000 deductible, he would have to pay for all those repairs. But because he had a lower deductible, the insurance company paid for those particular damages. Were they happy about it? Probably not. They're probably going to get their money back the following year. But again, understand the meaning of the deductible and why we get it. Let me see if I can just take this out here. It might be a little bit better to scroll using my trackpad here. So selecting the right coverage, again, many factors influence the cost of your vehicle. And I said, what did I say? Age. Let me get this again. So the younger you are, probably the more expensive. It makes sense, right? You're a newbie, right? You're new to the whole driving environment. You're going to be at a higher risk to getting into a crash. That's why 16 and 17-year-olds pay a higher price. Parents will probably add you to their policy as a part-time driver, making it affordable for you to get out there. Again, it's your responsibility now, once you have that opportunity, to build your driving history. No crashes, no tickets, right? And as you get older, your insurance rates will tend to come down. And when you reach I think the magic number is 25. Once you get to that age and you haven't had really any any crashes or tickets, you're going to see your insurance go down. At the same time, married couples also have a lower rate because of the fact that they have more responsibilities now. They probably own a home, have a family, and are more responsible. So their rates will go down if you're married. Okay, gender has a lot to do with it. Unfortunately, remember I said those actuaries collect numbers, and they tend to find that females get into fewer crashes. That's why young teen girls are going to pay a little less on the insurance versus boys. Sorry about that. Then what else do they look at would be your driving record. Again, these are based on your driver license number. So insurance, you're going to give insurance companies access and permission to look up your driving record, and they're going to see how your driving has been over a period of time. So that's really important, is your driving history and record. The car type. Obviously, if you have a Ferrari, you're going to be paying a lot more in collision and repair costs, so your insurance is going to be much greater than if you were going to insure a Toyota Corolla. Right? So the type of car that you insure. Where you live. People wonder, what was that got to do? Well, if you live in a city where there's a ton of crashes always happening and the probability is much higher, you're going to pay more insurance. Again, they look at your driving history as how long have you been insured for. So it's not just the history of your driving, but how long have you been insured. I was with Geico for 3 years, and then I went to Progressive right after for 5 years. So there's a continuality, and they're going to get information from each other. Insurance companies will get information about what you've been doing throughout the insurance policies. Right? So it's important you keep a constant insurance on, so this way they know what you're doing. And then your credit score, people ask them, well, why do they check the credit score? Well, can you pay for the insurance? Do you have a low credit score? Do you have a lot of outstanding bills that you didn't pay? So this tells them a little bit about your character, and a little bit about the fact that you might not be able to pay for the policy. So it would be important for you to maybe have to pay the policy in full. Sometimes people want to pay a monthly for the insurance, so you're going to have to get your credit score and make it available for them. So know the amount of coverage you need. Know what you need to buy. Do you need a deductible? Do you need collision, comprehensive? These are all decisions you need to make in advance. A good insurance agent will guide you correctly. I think there's a lot of good agents out there that are willing to help you, and they will love your business, and they're going to be there if you need them. So a good company will back you up. It's really important. Know how much coverage you need. Remember we talked about the liability part. State laws have minimums set. 25. I think it's 50 in Connecticut. I'm not 100% sure. That's the state minimum. But most people are going to end up purchasing much more liability insurance. I think the average is $300,000. It could be more now. I'm not sure, but between $50,000 and $100,000 is not a lot of big difference. And believe it or not, even up to $300,000, it's well worth it if you need it. Okay, so you look at different policies here. Compare policies, compare their cost, and then special rates. This is where you want to make sure that you're going to take full advantage of getting a discount, and insurance companies are going to ask for a few things. Many special rates are determined on a few things here when you are shopping for the auto insurance. Again, your coverage, the number of miles you drive, your age, where you live, your vehicle, your driving record. Again, I'm just reiterating a lot of these things that we already talked about. Here are some other things to consider. So, do you have a safe driving record? Some companies offer discounts to anyone that has a good record. Maybe you haven't gotten into an accident, who knows how long. And a lot of companies now are going to allow you, if you want, and you allow them to track your driving, and you can do so and show them, hey, look, I'm an excellent driver based on the yearly driving and miles that I do. They might give you a better discount. Okay, 2 or more cars in your household, you might get a insurance discount for that. Right? So a multiple car discount. Let me see if I can get this to work here. There we go. Students, some companies give a good grade discount. Remember we kind of talked about this in the parent class. So if you're a kid with a high GPA average, you get good grades, they're going to recognize this, because usually people with kids with good grades will tend to be more diligent as far as doing their homework. They're more mature about everything. So again, there's a correlation between good grades and good drivers when it comes to comparing that. Number 4, driver education can give you a great discount. You guys are doing this right now. Most of you that are doing the full program should get up to about a 15% discount on your insurance. So some companies give an additional discount to young drivers who successfully complete a course like this one. A similar discount might be available to adults, again, but I know here in Connecticut for 16 and 17-year-olds, you guys will be given a discount for taking this program. Your job, where you work. Some companies offer more favorable rates to teachers, police, military, government employees, special groups. Right? So definitely your job will give you a discount, believe it or not. Always ask, hey, I'm a nurse. Do I get a discount? Do I get provided anything for that? So things to consider. And then safety features was that first segment we talked about when buying a new car. Remember, we went through that whole list. Vehicles were equipped with safety features such as airbags and ABS, alarms, tracking devices on your car, anything that might make that vehicle safer and less likely to crash, you will be given a discount for it. See here, okay. Consider insurance when you shop for a vehicle. The make and model of the vehicle you drive. So remember I told you before you buy that car, how much will it cost to insure? Maybe you see this beautiful, affordable BMW, 2-door, right in your price range. Maybe scores high in the crash rating and everything about the car is great. You call and you get a quote and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God. All right, so definitely do your homework when you're considering buying the car. So it says check with your insurance company first. Under any circumstance, always check with your insurance company before you buy or lease a vehicle. When you finance a new or used car, the dealer or finance company may include the cost of insurance as part of the monthly payment. Be careful, such insurance coverage may consist of only collision and comprehensive to protect the dealer, right? They don't really care about the liability, right? They care about if you total that car, that, you know, if you still owe money, that they're going to be the ones that will get the money for the car. See how that works? If there's a loan on that car, say you buy a car at $20,000 and you owe $15,000, that $15,000 was given to you by the bank or the dealership for you to buy the car. So if you total and that car is not in use anymore, who's going to pay that $15,000 loan? Well, the insurance company is going to give you the value for it, or the market value, and then the dealer gets the money. So they're going to force you to have collision on it. Shop around, do your job, you know, look at some of these companies. I'm a little afraid when I see, you know, some of these insurance companies on TV all the time. Progressive, Geico, again, be careful. You might want to go with a local agent and they'll shop around for you. You can change insurance companies after your policy expires. Sometimes you can change midway, but usually it's a yearly policy. Rental vehicles. When you rent a car, most people will not purchase rental insurance because they're covered with their policy. So check your policy to see if it covers you under rental companies. And here in Connecticut, and I think all the states, you have to be 25 years old to rent a car. So you're not going to be renting any car in the near future, but you will someday. And I think your policy will have rental insurance on there already. So I wouldn't really worry too much about that. All right, so getting back here with sample test question here. Let's kind of take a look at some of these questions here. And we will be wrapping up momentarily. I'll give you a chance here to look at some of these. Let's see here. Number 3, the most important protection, is liability. Right, blank protects you and your passengers from bodily injury, from a hit and run. Right, uninsured motorist. Right, so the person doesn't have insurance, you're covered. And legally, if they don't, you can actually, if you're hurt, you can actually sue your own insurance company under this particular coverage, uninsured motorist. And then number 5, obviously, collision insurance covers damages to your vehicle caused by something. I'm sorry, comprehensive insurance covers damage to your vehicle caused by something other than a collision. All right, so that concludes lesson 11. We will see you for lesson 13, and thank you for listening. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist you. Thank you, and have a good day.